When we hear the word scarcity, we usually think about economics, right? Money, markets, supply and demand. But what if it's something way more fundamental? Today, we're exploring this really fascinating idea that scarcity isn't just a theory we made up, but an actual, inescapable law of the universe. So, right off the bat, the piece we're diving into lays it all on the table with its subtitle. Talk about getting straight to the point. It's a huge claim that scarcity isn't some temporary problem we can innovate our way out of, but a permanent condition of existing. It really sets a powerful stage for what we're about to unpack. And there it is. That's the central question, the big what if for our entire explainer. It's challenging us to completely shift our perspective, to step out of the boardroom and into the physics lab, and to start seeing our world through the lens of thermodynamics, energy, and matter. Okay, so to get our heads around this, we have to start with the core metaphor, this idea of a heat budget. I want you to think of it like a super strict, universal accounting system. It governs everything, from our own bodies to the most distant stars. And in this system, there are no bailouts, no credit extensions, the books have to balance. And this is where this massive, cosmic idea suddenly gets really, really personal. It grounds the whole concept in our own biology. See, that universal budget, it starts with you. You can only take in one breath at a time. Your cells can only process a certain amount of energy. You can only get so hot before things start to shut down. Your body is operating on its own non-negotiable budget. And what this all boils down to is that physics, not your willpower, not market demand, not some motivational poster, physics is what sets the pace of life. The chemical and thermal laws that run our cells, you can't negotiate with them. Pushing past those limits doesn't create more growth, it just leads to a system stall, a collapse. All right, so if our own bodies are playing by these incredibly strict rules, what about, everything else? Let's zoom out and look at the fundamental laws that are written into the universe's own ledger. So a key player here is a concept you've probably heard of, entropy. And I love this definition. It's the universe's handling fee. Every single time energy gets used, whether it's to build a skyscraper, power your phone, or just think a thought, a tax gets paid. That tax is waste heat. It's an irreversible loss that makes the whole system just a little bit more chaotic every single time. And get this isn't some bill that comes in the mail that you can put off paying. Nope, the fee is collected instantly, automatically. It's this constant, inescapable drag on every single thing that happens in the entire universe. There is absolutely no cheating this system. And these limits aren't just tiny, microscopic things. They scale all the way up, even to our own sun. It has a finite amount of fuel, which means it has a finite lifespan. It's a hard number, a cosmic deadline that doesn't care about our prayers or our stock markets. I just love this line. It's such a powerful reminder that the literal building blocks of our entire world are finite. There are only so many lithium atoms on Earth, only so much copper. It's a fixed inventory. It is not a limitless catalog that we can just keep ordering from. All right, so this leads us to a really, really critical distinction. Because if all these physical limits are real, then what about the scarcity we see every day? The kind that's caused by our economic systems. It is absolutely crucial that we separate these two ideas. And this breakdown just illustrates the difference perfectly. On the one hand, you've got artificial scarcity. This is what happens when resources are hoarded or locked behind a paywall. And that is a very real political problem we can try to solve. But on the other hand, there's a foundational physical scarcity, the simple, unchangeable fact that planet Earth only has so much stuff on it. And here's the kicker. This is the heart of the argument. Even if we created a perfectly fair, perfectly equitable society and got rid of all that artificial scarcity, we would still be staring down the fundamental limits of physics. Solving the political problem, as important as it is, doesn't make the planet any bigger, and it sure doesn't repeal the laws of thermodynamics. So, if we can't escape these limits, what's the move? Where do we go from here? Well, the argument doesn't just end in doom and gloom. Instead, it proposes something really radical, a new approach. What if we designed our entire society to consciously operate within its physical budget? This is the goal, a pivot, a move away from the frenzy of infinite growth and just frantic consumption to a society that is deliberately designed to fit within its ecological and thermodynamic means. It's a huge shift from a mindset of constant expansion to one of finding equilibrium. But what does that actually look like? Well, it's basically a kind of planetary logistics. Imagine a system that doesn't just produce and consume, but carefully allocates resources, joules, kilocalories, atoms, based on actual need and function. A system that builds closed loops to retrieve and reuse every single material, that audits every unit of energy against the planet's balance sheet, and that syncs all of our activity with the natural rhythms of the Earth, like sunrise and sunset. And a shift that big, I mean, it would change everything, right down to our culture. Art would be judged not on its extravagance, but on its cleverness and its balance. You know, a skyscraper lit up all night just for looks wouldn't be a symbol of success anymore. It would be a warning light, a sign of dangerous waste. Luxury itself would become a system failure, not something to aspire to. Which brings us to the end game, the final choice. And based on everything we've just talked about, the stakes, well, they couldn't be higher. We are presented with a very, very stark choice. First, we have to let go of this fantasy of a post-scarcity future where some magical technology will come along and solve all our limits. Why? Because physics says no. No matter how clever our tech gets, it can't create energy or matter out of thin air. Physics has already told us what our credit limit is. And this is the monumental choice it leaves us with. Scarcity is coming. That's a given. The only real question is how we're going to meet it. Is it going to be a chaotic, violent discipline forced upon us by ecological collapse? Or will it be a deliberate, chosen discipline that we embrace through careful, planned stewardship? And in the end, we get this powerful, powerful reframing of a single word: enough. In our world, a world obsessed with more, the idea of having enough can feel like a compromise, maybe even a defeat. But in this view, achieving a stable, sustainable state of enough, that's not failure. That's the ultimate victory. It's the victory march. And so that's the question I want to leave you with. If we truly accept that our limits are as real and as unchangeable as the law of gravity, then the most important conversation we could possibly have is about how we choose to design our lives, our cultures, and our entire civilization to live gracefully within them.